Have you ever wondered why some women lose interest the moment you become predictable? One day, she's laughing at your jokes, leaning in close, texting you first, then suddenly silence, cold replies, a wall you can't climb. You replay every detail, asking yourself, what did I do wrong? The truth is, you didn't have to mess up. You just became predictable. And for women, predictability is poison to desire. They crave men who keep them on edge, not in chaos, but in mystery. The men who don't always react the same way, who don't hand over their emotions on command, who don't allow themselves to be read like an open book. Imagine this: you're dating a woman who seemed genuinely into you. In the beginning, she couldn't stop touching your arm, laughing at your stories, asking about your life. But as soon as you made her the center of your world, things shifted. You stopped hanging out with your friends as much. You started replying instantly. You gave her certainty on a silver platter. And at first, she smiled, soaking it up. But deep inside, something was dying. That tension, the uncertainty of whether she truly had you, was gone. And when the uncertainty disappears, so does her attraction. Some men mistake this for women being shallow or cruel. They say, she only liked me when I played games. But it isn't about games. It's about psychology. Women are wired to respond to men who generate emotional variety. If every time she tests you, you react the same way, always giving, always available, she loses the ability to feel excitement around you. Her brain equates predictability with safety, but also with boredom. She starts craving the thrill of unpredictability again, and if you don't provide it, she'll find it elsewhere. Think about how you've handled her withdrawals in the past. She doesn't text back for hours, and you panic. You send follow-ups. You try to joke your way back in. You even ask if she's mad. Do you realize what that does? You show her you can be controlled by absence. She withholds, and you chase. You reward her coldness with attention. That's predictable weakness. And once she sees it, she knows you're no longer the man who made her heart race at the start. Unpredictability isn't about being erratic or cruel. It's about maintaining a level of independence that keeps her guessing. If she ignores your text, you don't send another. You go about your life, and maybe she sees you post something that proves you're not waiting by the phone. If she tries to pick a fight to provoke a reaction, you don't give her the explosion she's fishing for, you laugh it off. Change the subject, or simply leave her with silence. Every time you respond in a way she didn't fully predict, she's forced to recalibrate. That recalibration reignites tension, and tension is where attraction lives. Picture two men. The first is steady, polite, responsive, always saying yes to plans, always accommodating her moods. The second man. Sometimes he texts back in 5 minutes, sometimes in 5 hours. Sometimes he surprises her with depth. Other times he leaves her wondering what he's thinking. Which man do you think she'll obsess over at night? The one who gave her certainty, or the one who left her imagination working overtime? Now, here's the catch. You might think being unpredictable means being manipulative, but the opposite is true. Real unpredictability comes from living your own life fully. If you're genuinely focused on your work, your passions, your goals, you naturally create moments where you're unavailable, where she can't read your every move. That's not manipulation, that's a man with purpose. And purpose is magnetic. This is why men who make women their entire world always lose them. Not because they weren't good enough, but because they surrendered their unpredictability. They gave her a finished story instead of an unfolding mystery. And no matter how much she says she wants stability, her actions reveal the truth she desires, the thrill of not fully knowing you. So, when she withdraws, what do? You stop chasing. When she tests you with sarcasm or a cold tone, You don't bite the bait. You show her that your mood isn't dictated by hers. And when she tries to predict your every move, you remind her subtly, calmly, that she hasn't figured you out yet. That's how you rewire her attraction. But here's the warning: if you build your entire identity around pleasing her, you will always lose. Women crave men who can't be tamed into predictability. If she can map you like a routine, she'll file you away like one. You're not supposed to be her morning coffee, you're supposed to be the thunderstorm that interrupts it. Have you ever recognized yourself in this exact situation where she lost interest the moment you gave her everything? What did you do next? Which one of these toxic behaviors, chasing, over-texting, or begging for reassurance, have you fallen into before? What's the hardest part for you when it comes to walking away instead of trying to win her back? You've probably noticed a pattern in your own life. The more you tried to be the good guy, the less respect and desire you got from women. You thought consistency was love. You thought availability was proof of commitment. You thought giving her everything she wanted would make her want you more. But every time you gave more, she gave less. Every time you became easier to read, she became harder to reach. It feels backwards, doesn't it? You were taught that the key to love was to be dependable, and now I'm telling you that dependability, when unchecked, kills attraction. Here's the brutal truth: women crave a cocktail of safety and uncertainty. They want to know you're not a reckless fool who will vanish tomorrow. But they also want the spark of not fully owning you. When you remove all uncertainty, when you strip away every ounce of mystery, you suffocate her desire. She doesn't consciously think, "He's too predictable. I'm bored now." Instead, she just feels the spark dying, and she starts pulling away without even understanding why. Think about when you've been on the other side. Maybe you dated a woman who adored you at first, showered you with attention, texted you constantly, and at first, it felt amazing. But then it became too much. Every little thing you did, she was watching. Every time you took longer than 10 minutes to reply, she asked why. She kept giving, but it wasn't exciting anymore. It was suffocating. That's what women feel when you give them certainty without tension. They feel trapped in comfort, and comfort kills fire. This is why some women will test you. They'll throw a curveball just to see how you react. She might cancel a date last minute to check if you'll beg for another chance. She might suddenly get cold to see if you panic. She might flirt with someone else just to watch your reaction. If you crumble, if you rage, if you chase, you've proven you're predictable. She knows exactly how to push your buttons. But if you shrug it off, if you smile and go about your life as if her games don't dictate your mood, suddenly she has no script. You've taken her power to manipulate. And when she can't predict you, she's hooked again. There's something intoxicating about a man who can't be shaken. Picture a woman trying to provoke you, waiting for you to crack, and instead you stay calm, almost amused. She feels unsettled. She feels that familiar tension again, the one she felt at the start when she wasn't sure she had you. That's when attraction returns. Not because you punished her, not because you ignored her completely, but because you refused to let her games define your value. Here's where men fail. They confuse unpredictability with inconsistency. They think being unpredictable means ignoring her one day, showering her with attention the next. That's not unpredictability, that's instability. Real unpredictability isn't about swinging wildly. It's about being grounded in yourself, so no one can fully map out your next move. It's about being consistent in your values, but flexible in your behavior. She knows you won't tolerate disrespect, but she doesn't know if you'll laugh it off, walk away, or cut her off completely when she tries it. That's powerful. The easiest way to build unpredictability is to stop making her the axis of your world. When you have a life filled with pursuits, your body, your money, your craft, your friendships, your time becomes naturally unpredictable. You're not available at every ding of your phone. You're not waiting on her message to decide your evening. You're not molding yourself around her moods. That lifestyle alone creates mystery because she can't fully anticipate your priorities. And when she can't fully anticipate, she stays invested. Practical application next time she withdraws. Resist the urge to chase. If she cancels, don't beg to reschedule, say, "No worries. I'll be busy anyway," and mean it. If she gets cold, don't argue or accuse, smile, change the subject, or even cut the interaction short. You're training her subconscious that her little games don't work on you. Over time, she realizes that she can't control you with absence, she can't predict your response, and she can't dull her attraction. But here's the price you will have to let go of the needy part of yourself that craves reassurance. You'll have to get comfortable with silence, with unanswered texts, with the space that used to make you anxious. Because the moment you stop needing her constant validation, you regain your power, and once you have that, she will always feel the pull back towards you. Have you ever had a woman test you and you completely fell into the trap? What did you say? What did you do? And how did she respond? Which part of unpredictability feels hardest for you? Resisting the chase, controlling your reactions, or building a life outside her orbit? Be honest with yourself in the comments. You've been trained your whole life to believe that love is about proving yourself, proving you're loyal, proving you're dependable, proving you'll never leave. And yet, every time you prove it, she slips further away. It's maddening. You gave her certainty, but she didn't reward you with more love, she punished you with distance. That's because you confused reassurance with attraction. A woman may want reassurance, but reassurance alone doesn't make her desire you. What stirs her desire is not the words you say, but the tension she feels when she can't fully predict you. This is why the nice guy always loses. The nice guy texts back instantly, plans dates around her schedule, apologizes for things that weren't his fault, and makes sure she never doubts his devotion. And in return, she doubts his value. She might keep him around as a friend, but she won't feel fire for him. That fire belongs to the man who lives his life without asking for permission. The man who doesn't crumble under silence. The man who can love her without needing her to define his worth. You've seen it before. A woman complains about the guy who doesn't text her back, who keeps her guessing, who sometimes disappears into his own world. She vents to her friends, but notice how she can't stop talking about him. Meanwhile, the guy who always answers right away, who never misses a chance to check in, he barely crosses her mind. Why? Because one man gives her security, while the other gives her emotional movement. And movement is addictive. Her brain treats unpredictability like a puzzle it can't solve, and until it solves it, she keeps coming back for another piece. Here's the trap many men, after hearing this, try to fake unpredictability. They purposely delay texts, act busy, or play games. But women are sharper than you think. They can smell performance. If your unavailability is just an act, it falls flat. Real unpredictability comes from being genuinely immersed in your own life. You're not replying late because you want her to chase. You're replying late because you were at the gym, working on a project, or hanging out with friends. Your life naturally makes you unpredictable. That's the difference between manipulation and authenticity. Now, let's go deeper. Women often use withdrawal as a control tactic. Maybe she suddenly goes cold, not because she lost interest, but because she wants to see if you'll chase harder. If you fold and start flooding her with attention, she learns she can control your behavior by pulling away. She now owns your emotions. That's a dangerous place for a man to be. You've handed her the keys. The way out is brutal but simple. Don't play her game. If she withdraws, you don't fill the gap with panic. You fill it with silence. You fill it with your own life. You let her feel the absence of your attention, and suddenly the control shifts. Instead of you craving her return, she's left wondering why you didn't respond as expected. That's the crack in her certainty that reignites attraction. Think about the last time a woman pulled away from you. How did you react? Did you double text, call, and try to fix it? Or did you lean back and let her reveal her true interest level? Most men can't stomach that silence. They're addicted to her attention, so they chase it. But the man who can sit with that silence, who can let her absence hang in the air without trying to force it, becomes dangerous in her eyes. Dangerous because she realizes she doesn't control him. This doesn't mean you withhold affection when you don't want to. It means you stop rewarding bad behavior with more investment. If she's cold, don't pour warmth into a black hole. If she ignores your call, don't call 3 more times. If she plays games, don't step onto her board. Instead, create an unshakable standard you give when she gives, you match when she matches, and you never let her dictate your emotional state. That's real strength. The cost of unpredictability is discipline. You must discipline your urge to chase, your need for validation, your fear of losing her. You must accept that sometimes walking away is the most powerful move you can make. And the irony is, when you master that detachment, you'll rarely need to walk away because she'll chase you to keep the tension alive. So ask yourself this: have you ever rewarded a woman's withdrawal with more effort? What did that teach her about your value? What part of holding back terrifies you the most? The thought of losing her, or the thought of sitting with your own insecurity? And if you truly stop chasing, what might she start doing differently? You've probably felt it before, the crushing weight of overinvesting. You gave her everything, hoping it would prove your worth, and instead, it drained your power. You bought the gifts, you sent the long messages, you rearranged your life around her moods. And what did you get in return? Silence, distance, maybe even contempt. That's because overinvestment tells us something you don't realize. You're saying, I value you more than I value myself. And the second she believes that, she knows she owns you. Women are not drawn to men who make them their gods. They're drawn to men who can love them without losing themselves. When you overinvest, you reveal desperation. You reveal that her validation is your oxygen. And no woman respects a man who can't breathe without her. Respect dies the moment she feels you need her more than she needs you. Think about a poker table. If you push all your chips into the pot too soon, what happens? The game ends. There's no tension left, no risk, no play. That's what you do when you emotionally overinvest. You throw all your chips in, and she realizes the game is over. She already has you. And once she knows she has you fully, her desire begins to wander, because desire lives in the unknown, not in the certainty. This doesn't mean you play cold or heartless. It means you stop giving her more than she earns. If she texts once, you don't reply with a novel. If she invests a little, you match it, not exceed it. Matching investment keeps the balance of tension alive. Overgiving smothers it. It's like watering a plant so much that the roots drown. You meant to help it grow, but you killed it instead. Here's how you fix it. Pause before you give. Ask yourself, am I giving because she deserves this, or because I'm afraid of losing her? If it's fear, hold back. Let her prove her interest with action before you meet her with more. That pause alone saves you from bleeding out your value. Now, let's talk about testing her interest. When a woman is truly invested, she shows it in her effort. She reaches out. She asks questions. She initiates time together. If you're the only one carrying the relationship, you're not her priority, you're her option. And the only way to know the difference is to stop doing all the work. Pull back slightly. Watch what she does when you're not chasing. Does she come forward or does she disappear? That's the truth of her interest. And yes, it might sting, but it's better to see her real investment now than to live in illusion while she uses you for attention. Practical strategy: set a rule for yourself. Never give more than you're receiving. If she gives you time, you give time. If she invests emotionally, you invest emotionally. If she pulls away, you don't compensate, you mirror. This isn't revenge, it's equilibrium. Women respect the man who can balance, who can meet her without drowning himself in her. The hardest part is breaking your own addiction to giving. Because when you stop over-investing, you'll feel the withdrawal. You'll want to text her first. You'll want to prove you still care. You'll want to erase the silence. That's your test. Can you sit in the discomfort without folding? Can you hold your ground long enough to see if she steps up? Most men fail here. They crack under the pressure. But the man who can endure the silence, who can resist the urge to overgive, unlocks a power she can't ignore. Understand this unpredictability is not just for her benefit, it's for yours. It forces you to stop being a slave to validation. It forces you to build a spine. It forces you to protect your energy. And when you do that, women respond differently. They lean in. They respect you. They desire you. Not because you manipulated them, but because you finally stopped abandoning yourself. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you gave more than you received? How did she treat you after that? Which scares you more, losing her because you stopped chasing, or losing yourself because you kept giving? And if you were brutally honest, how much of your love was really just fear of being alone? At some point, you realize the greatest enemy in all of this isn't her, it's your own fear. Fear of being alone, fear of not being chosen, fear of silence. That fear is what makes you predictable. That fear is what makes you overgive, overchase, overexplain. Women don't break you, your own fear does. And once a woman senses that fear, once she knows you're terrified of losing her, she can control you with the smallest gestures. A delayed reply, a sigh, a shift in tone. Suddenly you're scrambling to fix something that wasn't even broken. The cost of predictability is your masculinity. Because masculinity thrives on control, direction, and self-possession. When you give that away, when your emotions rise and fall based on her mood, you're not a man anymore. You're her puppet. That's why unpredictability isn't just a tactic to attract women. It's a discipline that protects your identity. Think about the man who can walk away, the man who can love deeply but never be owned, the man who can give affection but also withhold it when respect disappears. That man is terrifying to women, not because he's cruel, but because he refuses to be controlled. He lives in his own rhythm. He decides what matters, and that makes him the one she thinks about when she's alone at night. Not the one who begged, not the one who broke, but the one who stayed untouchable even when she tried to shake him. This is why detachment is power. When you detach, you stop reacting. Her silence doesn't make you insecure, it makes you focus. Her withdrawal doesn't make you chase, it makes you mirror. Her games don't trigger rage, they reveal her character. Detachment turns you into the mirror she can't manipulate. And when she sees her reflection in your calmness, she either rises to meet it or she walks away. Either outcome protects you. Here's the brutal reality: most men can't detach because they've tied their entire worth to a woman's attention. They don't know who they are without her. They don't know how to fill their time without her. They don't know how to validate themselves without her. That's why they tolerate disrespect. That's why they chase after withdrawal. That's why they keep giving more and more until nothing is left. But you're not here to be most men. You're here to wake up. So what does real power look like? It looks like a man who invests carefully, who gives without fear but never beyond what is earned, who can disappear for a day or a week because his life demands it, not because he's playing games, who can look at a woman he loves and still say, "If you can't match me, I'll walk." That man is unpredictable not because he's unstable, but because no one can dictate his moves. He's free, and freedom is magnetic. You have to remember she doesn't respect what she can control. She respects what she can't quite reach. If you're always there, always available, always bending, she may enjoy the comfort, but she won't feel the fire. But if you're there and then gone, open and then reserved, warm and then silent on your terms, not hers, she feels the thrill that keeps her chasing. That's the paradox of attraction. The more she knows she doesn't fully own you, the more she invests in trying. So where do you go from here? You cut the strings. You stop being predictable. You stop letting her moods write your script. You build a life so full that her presence is a blessing, not a necessity. You master your silence. You master your reactions. You master yourself. Because at the end of the day, the man she respects, the man she craves, the man she can't forget is the man who refuses to be tamed. She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect. Now it's your choice. Stay predictable and lose yourself, or embrace unpredictability and reclaim your power.